So let's talk about decimals. If you want to take a minute to pause this video to read over the blueprint, I encourage you to. Now let's move on. As you notice in this image here is talking about decimal placements. And give me a second. Let me highlight something right quick. Right here. So here is my decimal. Now, to the right of the decimal, you notice these words end in TH. TH. And yes, S is put on there because the number is more than just one, even though it's behind the decimal. And the notation for the tenths, 1/10. Hundreds is 1/100s. Thousands in the denominator, 10,000s in the denominator, 100,000s, and so on. In front of the decimal, so now let's look in front of the decimal. We know we have ones, right? Sometimes you hear it called units. The second place is tens, and then hundreds, thousands, and you see the notation as well. And it goes on, okay? So in example 1, it says, write the following mixed number in decimal notation and in words. So when I look at this mixed number here, I notice that we have a whole number right here. This whole number goes in front of the decimal. Now we're going to look at the 7/10 and figure out what decimal is this. So what I could do is I could do long division. The numerator, the number on top, always goes inside the doghouse. The number on bottom, which is the denominator, always goes on the outside. Now we ask ourselves, how many times will 10 go into 7? Well, it won't. It only goes into it 0 times. So I'm going to have to add a decimal and put a 0 in this place. If you notice I put the decimal on top, that's very important because that's where you're going to pull your answer from. So put it down here between the 7 and the 0, just to let you know that you had to tack on a 0, okay? Now 10 goes into 70 7 times. 7 times 10 is 70. 70 minus 70 is 0. So that's all we need. So now we got 48.7. When I read this, I'm going to say 48. And is going to represent the decimal, and 7/10. Okay, let's move on. So you'll kind of get the point on this. I'll let y'all work B and C. If you have any questions, just come back and holler at me. Send me an email, whatever it may be. And if you need to, so look at B. B is going to be 10,000. So you see it right here. And then you look at B. B is written as over 10,000. So let's go ahead and do B just in case. So the whole number is 12 points. Now I need to figure out what is the decimal. Remember, the numerator goes on the inside, the denominator goes on the outside. You ask yourselves, how many times will 10,000 go into 40? 3. Well, 0 times. So let's tack on to 0, a decimal. How many times will it go in 430? 0 times. How many times will it go into 4,300? 0 times. Let's tack another 0 on. Oh, so maybe we have progress here because now we're going to say, 43. How many times will 10,000 go into 43,000? And we get, let's see, 4 times. So 4 times that 10,000 is 40,000. Subtract, bring down the 3 and the zeros here. And then I'm going to bring down another 0. Now, how many times will 10,000 go into 30,000? 3 times. So 3 times that 10,000 gets me 0. Very good. Now I'm going to add it to the 12. And this is what I get. So let's write it in words. So we got, and bear with me on the spelling, 12. I really should have looked up how to spell 12. Please apologize. I'm not an English major. I am a math. I would love to say I majored in English as well. 12. My apologies, guys. Oh my goodness. Oh, yay, I was gonna spell it right. Yay, that makes me feel good. TWELVE 12 and 43 10,000s. All right. Let's move to the next one. The next section says, okay, write these sentence words into decimals. So if I got 3/10, then I got 0.3. 93 thousandths, I got 0.093. Because remember, the thousandths falls in the third decimal place. So we got to make sure that's how it ends. 82 hundredths, 0.82. Okay. Now, let's talk about the next one. So it says here, we want to compare decimals. We want to determine which one's the larger. So you can look at it as money, which one would be the larger of them. So if I was to pick on the A, I would pick 3.14 is larger than 3.12. And so on. So those are not too bad, right? What about example 4? It says list them smallest to largest. So let's do A. My smallest is going to be 3.01, comma. My next one would be 3.707. And then the next one would be 3.725. And the next one is 3.7267. Okay. All right, let's talk about rounding. If you need to pause this to read this information, go for it. Okay, now let's do some rounding. On A, it says round to the nearest tenths. So the 6 here is in the tenths place. That means I'm going to look at the number directly behind it. I'm going to ask myself, is it greater than or equal to 5? And it's just a yes or no. In this case here, it's a no. So I just drop the last digits off, and this would be my answer. Now let's look at B. B says round to the nearest hundreds. This 9 fell on the hundreds, so I'm going to look behind it and ask myself, is it greater than or equal to 5? The answer is yes, so I'm going to add 1 to the 9, drop the 6 off. When I add 1 to 9, it gives me 10, and I got to carry the 1, so 8 plus 1 is 9. So I get 21.90, which is just written as 21.9. Now let's look at C. It says the thousandths, which is the third decimal place. This 9 falls in it. Look behind it. Ask yourself, is it equal to or greater than 5? And it is yes. So we're going to add 1 to the 9 and drop the 7, 4 off. When I add 1 to the 9, it becomes 10. Carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. Bring down the 8, 5 in the decimal, which is also 5.84. So hopefully y'all understand the rounding concept. And if not, please check out my other videos. Thank you.